Good morning. Hand today's going to be Queen Jack off. We are in early position at a 50 NL game. Folds to us. We fold. We get a limper. Limper's playing 39. He is definitely a passive, loose passive. We do have quite a few hands on him. We've got limp shoved. A limp shove with pocket nines. Yeah, call button. 3-bet raise first in and big blind. Didn't. That's all we have. We've got 3-bet range really. Sevens, fours, pockets. 36 hands, but we've got 2,000 hands overall. So his 30% VPIP and 9% pre-flop raise hand really kind of tells us more of a story. We're in early or mid position, playing about 32%, raise first in stats about 14 or 15%. So what I did was kind of raise this up to about 33% and then kind of brought the scale up to exclude hands. So I think this could be a limping range here. It's not really going to matter because he's going to fold. So we get a raise, and then we get a call, and then he folds. So he's out. So let's work on this. This guy's playing 18-11 over 600 hands, 600 plus hands. This guy looks like a pretty decent player based on his stats. Wish he had his pre-flop raise needs to be a little bit higher. Needs to do more raising, probably more 3-betting to just kind of bring that raise up. Doesn't really limp. So we're in mid position here. He's playing about 16-17% of hand for the raise first in. I worked through this. This is 13% for his range. Well, we have a limper, so we have to realize that. So if we go to the pre-flop raise, we're looking at call 2-bet 42%. We got raised with previous limpers. This is going to be the first time limp with previous limpers. I think this is what's affecting his pre-flop raise range. So we're kind of looking at what's going to be the stronger parts of his range here. This guy. We're looking at what's the strongest part of his range here. So here, we're looking at the wrong guy. Knew that. Yeah, raised with previous limpers. He does have that. So it's like 12%, 4%, 12%. Yeah, you've got call 2-bets. You've got raise first in 17%. So it's kind of in a range where we start here. This is 13%. The question is, would he be raising more? And I think he would be. So I think we can, instead of doing just like a polarized range with some of these weak hands, I think we can give him all of the suited aces. We could probably give him all the rest of the pocket pairs, probably more of the suited connectors, and possibly these. Gets us up to 17%. And I think that's probably a pretty decent range here for him. This guy, I think we've played with him already. We can see that this was a notice that we took on him. I believe this was yesterday. So he calls button to big blind, ISO raise and small blind with Jack 10 off. We talked about this guy, his ranges, where it looks like he's playing pocket pairs. Most of the pocket pairs, get that to stay up. Looks like suited aces. Well, it looks like suited kings, and if he's playing suited kings, he's playing suited aces. He's got suited queens. It goes down to at least queen 7. We don't see a huge number of suited connectors, though. So I kind of went with this. I expanded his range a little bit. If he's going to have, I think last time we just did like all broadways, which is true, and then suited kings, suited aces. We left off like these hands here. I think I'm going to go ahead and add them as a call. Well, probably not. I guess we should have added them as a call with 2 big blinds against 4.5. I think it's going to be much tighter. It's going to be a much tighter range for him. So this might be a slightly better. I did add the 50% for 10s, jacks, and queens. Definitely, I think queens plus ace king would have been a 3-bet, but we do have a call with queens. we know he has 3-bet with jacks and 10, so I think those are probably like sometimes raise, sometimes just call. And then this other guy folds. So let's take this to the flop. Flop comes down 8-4-4. So when we see this board, we should be thinking that this probably doesn't hit pre-flop raiser's range much. Could hit the caller's range a little bit, but we do know that villain could have pocket pairs, could have over pairs, could have hit trips with eights. It's going to be hard to hit quads at this point. But if he hits the 8, it's going to be like ace 8. Or maybe like 8-9, 7-8 type connection. This guy could hit it with ace 8, king 8. He'll also have like the 9-8, maybe 8-7. I mean, if we think he's going to be playing those connectors. So villain checks, no big surprise. This guy should probably be c-betting here. And he does, and he bets pot, which is rather large. So a largish pot, probably because he has like the queens, kings, aces, where I don't think this player has all of those queens, kings, aces in his range. So you would kind of figure he's going to have fewer hands, a narrower range, but a stronger range than villain 5. So you expect that bet. I think you also expect the larger sizing. So I'm going to say over pair, he's probably betting. Top pairs, probably betting. When we think about what kind of draws does he have, possibly the gut shot is what he's including. We could do 2-card backdoor flush draw, or we can just say heck with it and just pick all of the overcards that he has, which would I think would be most of them. Would he be betting these under pairs? Maybe those would kind of be betting as bluffs at this point. And we can include them, and we're up to 90%, and I think that's probably okay for this player. This guy calls, so that's gonna, I don't think he's gonna check raise. I think he's going to be calling with quads and full houses, and I kind of also think he's probably just going to be check calling with most of these hands here. He does look like a passive player, so I don't think he's going to be playing super aggressively. I do think he's probably calling with any pocket pair here. Doesn't really have many of the draws. So then when we think about overcards, what kind of overcards would he call with? We're going to give him like the aces, like the ace, queen, ace, jack, ace 10 as him calling. Are we going to give him the king, queen? Do we have any notes on him for flops? So he check called 60%. Pocket fours, 3-way. He check called out of position with 5-6 on a middle pair. We are seeing all in, so we don't know. We've seen check calls on the flop. We don't know if he's capable of doing that just with all of his over pairs. So we'll just keep the aces. Probably, I think the aces are the most likely hands that people will check call with. So we'll keep those. And we see a turn of the 6 of spades. Still, I don't think that changes the board much. Whoever's head is probably staying ahead, although that spade likely gives this villain potentially a spade draw if he's watching how his C bets. So it goes check, check. So we're going to keep this guy's range full. This guy checked, which starts to exclude things. I think at this point, oops, I don't see why he wouldn't have continued with the top pair hand, unless he has top pair like a weaker kicker. I think he would have continued betting with those, and that and I think he would have continued betting with the flush draw. So that means we're looking at something fairly weak for him. Would he continue betting the gut shots? Maybe. Gut shots are probably weaker. I'd say probably not. So I think this guy's hands became very, very weak, which is now opening up possibility that this guy could just fire up a bet on the river and get this guy to fold. So he could fire a bet with basically any 2 cards. 6 comes out. I think that would be a card that really hurts our chances of bluffing. Because now you get, if you had a pocket pair, if you had pocket 2s or 3s, you're just now counterfeited. I think you're going to get ace X to call, probably to call, because you're dealing with two pair with ace high. So we have to be careful with our actual bet. So here, you've got range of hands. If that was, let's say, a 2 or a 3 or a 7, I think this player could be betting all of his quads and full houses for value, probably his overpair for value, and then you turn your like nothing and your ace highs into bluffs. And you could probably do top pair for value too. Probably pocket pair below top pair for value too. You may be able to bet that and get like ace X to call, potentially. So when you have the ace, when this guy has the ace, the other guy's less likely to have the ace, and it's going to be hard for him then to call if we lead out. And it's in a pot of 33. We're talking about this guy already bet the pot. His C bet on the flop was pot, so you could easily go ahead and bet, a pot bet here and really apply a lot of pressure. But that 6 really changes things. So what does this player do? He bets small. So I'm eliminating all of the bluffs at this point. I think you've got quads. I think I've got a full house here. Is probably the likely play here. Maybe some overpairs. And we're going to color code that. We'll say the reds are the overpairs, the weak, the strong. So it's about split evenly. And you've got the quad. So that's going to be my thought. He bet small. I think he's hoping to get called a little bit. Villain 2 calls, and I could be off. He could be betting small because he has the ace, and he's not doing it well enough. So the other guy that just calls at this point, yeah, I just think maybe ace high is what he's calling with. Pocket pair below, maybe he could call with 7s or 5s. That could actually be a decent call for him with this sizing. So he shows ace 10. That is unusual. We mentioned maybe he would do that. We do have ace 10 in his range. And then the other guy shows 5s, and that was that. Yeah, pocket pair below, 5s and 7s. And I do think ace high is probably going to be calling there. So we did hit both hands. So let's take some notes here. So he ISO raised 4.5 big blinds in hijack with 5 clubs, 5 diamonds. He is in position. He bets bet 100% check and then called 25%. We'll call that bet a quarter pot bet on 8 of diamonds, 4 of spades, 4 of clubs, 6 of spades, 6 of clubs. All right. So we have that player, and now we're going to add notes to this player. So he called 4.5 big blind, ISO raise, called hijacks in small blind with ace, spades, 10 of clubs. He is out of position. Check called 100%. check, bet 25% on that. So ace high. All right. So I like his raise pre-flop. I think that was a pretty strong play with fives. Don't like his call. He's out of position. If he calls, you're encouraging this player to call. Taking ace 10 offsuit three-way is going to be rough. Don't necessarily mind his call. On the flop, if he has a plan for it, and I don't think he had a plan. His plan should have been on a favorable turn. If it goes check, check, you're betting on a favorable river card. And he did bet, but he did not bet large enough. He should be betting 33. It's really representing that you've got a 4 or a 6 or something that's missed. Instead, he bet really small. And really just encourage all of the fives, all of the sevens. He's probably not going to get fives or sevens to fold, but your goal is to try to get those ace X's to fold, because you don't want to really split the pot with anyone. You could take the full pot. Does it have to be pot size bet? No, probably not. He probably could be betting 20. Probably 20 big blinds, a little more than half pot. That probably could have worked. If you get called, you get called. I mean, it is what it is. But when you look at Villain's range here, you've got hands that are nothing hands, and I wouldn't just do this with ace 10. It's with all those any other hands that you have that just called that missed. That's what you should be doing. That's kind of my thought. I think his call's fine on the end. It was small enough, and I think even if the river bet was larger and he calls, I think that's probably okay. It's looking like you're basically bluff catching with a value hand, like a small value hand. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to talk about here. I might run this on GTO and come back, but if I do, we'll just pick it up as in we didn't. If we don't pick it up, then yeah, just look tomorrow for another hand. All right, so I did run GTO, and let's take a look at it. So I did build the tree so that out of position was going to check 100%, and then I set it up because I wanted to check bet sizing, and I'm glad I did, because it really looks like on this board with the ranges, looks like GTO prefers actually the smaller sizing. So I set the sizing to be 33%, 66%, or pot size bet. Pot size bet, GTO likes the worst. Definitely more of the smaller size. And I guess the smaller size is going to encourage weaker hands to call. So let's take a look at this. So if he bets smaller, we're looking at a call. Overall, we'll say overall fold of 42%. If we go larger, the overall fold is 56%, 57%. If we go really large, you're getting 63% fold. So I think there's an interplay, even though I think the ranges here, I wonder if we could check out equity. Let's see here. I guess the entire decisions, we're looking at equity for this guy at 41% versus 59% overall equity. So I mean, in position player definitely has the edge. So that could be, we bet smaller to encourage more calls by weaker hands. So you're still gonna get check raised some of the time. Check raise is looking like quads, full house, 3 of a kind. Quads, some of the full houses are checks, 3 of a kind. I think we just looked at that. Yeah, quads, full house, 3 of a kind. Smaller sizing, quads, full house, 3 of a kind. So yeah, looks like GTO is recommending smaller sizing. You're still going to get check raised quite a bit, but I think you're generating more calls. So the ace high calls, you're looking at about 15% just with the ace highs. And the weak pairs at 4% versus big one where ace highs at 7%, so half the amount of calls. So GTO definitely prefers the smaller sizing. So we're going to say he did do the bigger sizing. What's his bigger sizing looking like? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's just really small percentages here. Just really small percentages of overpairs. You do have does not recommend betting this size with weak pair at all. And I think it kind of makes sense because with a weak pair, if you're betting that size, you're going to fold out hands that you're hoping to make money from. So that's why with the smaller sizing, yeah, fives are in there. It is. You're betting these smaller pocket pairs here to encourage some weaker calls. So let's go ahead and take a look. He bets 11, and then villain calls. What's his call range? He called with ace 10 off. Yeah, that's going to be a fold. So again, I'm going to say GTO might not like it, but if you're doing exploitative play, you can make that call if you have a plan. Of course, there's better hands to make the call with. Suited ace 10 is a whole lot better suited. So spades or clubs or diamond. So you have, backdoor flush draws. That's going to be a much better call than ace 10 offsuit. But you have to have a plan. You have to have some idea that maybe even leading the turn where you're really going to challenge this guy, or doing a check raise bluff. I think that's what you need to do, and that's exactly kind of what GTO is looking at. You do have some check raises with backdoor 2-card backdoor flush draws, so like ace 8, ace 4, king queen. So look at that. See where king queen comes into play. King queen is a check raise. That's entirely a bluff. That is entirely a bluff. Queen jack, queen 10. I bet those are all, again, just entirely a bluff. Now you're not bluffing with all of them because you'll have way too many bluffs, but some of the time you're going to be making those plays. Queens you can check raise, with your overpair. Jacks and 10s tend to be more calls. 9s tend to be calls, and I think the reason is it's very easy. If you check raise and an overcard comes to any of your pairs, it's going to be hard for you to continue. So let's continue. 6 of spades comes out. Villain checks 90% of the time. I'm going to say I'm somewhat surprised. Almost 10% he's betting. He's leading. Looks at some of the spades. He's leading with like the 8-7 of spades some of the time. Ace 5. That's interesting. Not in range anymore. Okay. Okay. So he checks. Villain checks behind. Doesn't really have anything. And this is we're gonna say 6 of clubs. Get that on there, but go back. But it's one of these things. He bet. Now he should be betting. Again, almost 50%, 45%, you could say. All the hands that he was betting initially, yeah, you're betting. These are the overpairs. You're betting again. Top pair. You're going to be checking your ace high hands. The ace high that didn't really improve. You're going to continue betting with your spades, with your flush draws. That's all we kind of know. You took the stab, you got called because that 6 didn't really change the board a whole lot. You continue with all your pairs. You continue with your flush draws, and that should be okay. All right. So we checked, and now villain should be betting, and we have a bet of 17 here. Should be betting most of the time. He didn't. Well, he did, but it's recommending the larger sizing. And this was, I think, 75% pot. Ace 10 shouldn't be in his range, but he is betting like the ace jack, ace queen, and so forth. So when he bets, villain's going to be calling. It should be folding 75% of the time. When you look at the hands, it's really full house, a full house with the top card. Over pairs maybe you're calling. You're calling top pair, pocket pair less than the top card, and then you're going to be folding some of your ace high hands. So, all right, I think we're going to end it here. So you do have kind of interesting bet sizing. GTO definitely prefers smaller bet sizing. It's going to encourage more hands, and then it becomes a decent check situation. And the fives was suitable for a check, and then you're betting 3/4. Again, the ace high is probably more of a check. You've got better hands to use as a bluff here. Better hands than just your ace x hands, where you have some value with that ace high. He bets, and then yeah, five's a call. All right, so hopefully we get a little bit more value out of this by looking at the GTO ranges. Not going to be doing GTO all the time, but sometimes it's good to look at it and do the analysis. So hopefully you enjoy this. Look tomorrow for another.